Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Smart Home Insider. You've got me, your host as always, Andrew O'Hara, and I am riding solo this week, but I have a very exciting slate of guests coming up the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'm pretty sure we have all booked out. Scheduling conflicts got in the way for this week. It is going into, a holiday weekend when we were trying to record, but I can tease, a little bit about what's coming up. I know we have Albin Noten, who is a new Thread group board member. So talk a little bit about Thread, what's going on there. I'm curious at their thoughts on like the IKEA situation that's been happening. So some cool, talk there we're going to have. We're also going to have Daniel Mineta from Smart Things and the CSA to talk through all of that stuff. There's been some cool things going on with the Smart Things space. So that's going to be a great one. Also have another guest that I can't share yet because I think they're kind of coming out of stealth mode. So we'll have more information to share about that when we get actually closer to it. So there's going to be a really great upcoming lineup of guests on the show. Either way, I hope everybody who celebrates had a wonderful holiday weekend. Of course, we had some just much needed family time, which is always great. Kiddos just were amazing. They had so much fun with like Easter shenanigans and seeing cousins and all that stuff. So it was an exhausting weekend for sure, but I think everybody had a great time. So let's get into it. We have news to talk about. We have some hands-on talk about a new little gadget that I'm pretty intrigued by. I have opinions on, but we will talk about it. So starting up, the big news that kind of came out this past week was the launch of Matter 1.5.1. This is definitely, a dot update, a minor update. So it's not like the 1.6 update that some people may be looking for, but I do think it has a lot of important changes that we should talk about. Starting out, there's a lot of changes for cameras. So we got camera support with 1.5. That includes like standalone cameras as well as video doorbells, something that everybody has been waiting for the longest time. And they were not done. There's actually several new changes with the 1.5.1 update to go along with it. So first, there's now a breakout in video quality depending on the use cases. This is huge. So for example, there can be higher resolution streaming for video, for recording and storage versus what you're seeing on your phone. They're actually implementing full HLS support, which is HTTP live streaming support, which has a variable bit rate of quality of the video. So you could, if you have lower quality or lower speed internet, you're going to have lower quality video streamed to your device. Out of the gate, it sounds like Matter was basically forcing that full resolution version on you. Now that can vary depending on what your device is capable of supporting based on its internet connection. So I think that's huge. That way you're not going to have like the actual recording version suffer at all. You're going to have higher resolution recording, but lower resolution that you can pull up streaming so you can always have access to it even in poor internet connections. That's going to be very, very key. There's also a dedicated stream suitable for video analysis or AI processing. This is something we talk about on the show frequently that I think should be a thing for Apple Home specifically, but it's also available on a number of other platforms. Like I know Arlo has this, Ring has this, Kara is one of the big ones that has this, and they even kind of offer it as like an add-on feature. So for a Kara, you have basic on-device AI analysis, but if you want to use like the cloud analysis that can do other fancy things, it can describe what is exactly happening in the video in natural language. All of that is like that additional fee for that cloud processing to be going on. But now it sounds like for video, as far as Matter is concerned, you can have like a variable resolution for mobile streaming, higher resolution for storage, and then there's also going to be a stream suitable specifically for that video analysis and AI. So that's going to be pretty cool. There's also the ability to have multiple streams from multi-lens cameras. So one of the examples of that right now, as far as like multi-lenses go, is going to be like the Aqara G350, I want to say off the top of my head, but that has like the zoom lens as well as the regular lens. There's also the one which we still haven't seen in I don't know how long, but the one from TP-Link. That was that baby monitor. It had like a close-up view as well as a wide view of your crib or bassinet, and that could possibly also have 2 streams going through. So that's all going to be really nice. They're also expanding media support for Matter 1.5.1. So we were using, JPEGs, I believe. Now they're going to support Hive, or sorry, not Hive, but HEIC, which I would say is Hive. I don't know. They're calling it HEIC, but the HEIC image codec. I always think of Hive. So what Apple uses on their phones, high efficiency image format, but they're saying image codec, perhaps. I don't actually honestly know if that's much different at all than what Apple has been using on iPhones. Essentially, you're kind of getting that really high quality image at a much lower file size, which is always going to be good. As I mentioned, supporting for HLS, HTTPLS, HTTP live streaming, dash streaming. There's also CMAF interface 2 profile, greater compatibility, all that great stuff that we want to see. There's improved camera operation and reliability. So there's updates to PTZ cameras. So the pan, tilt, zoom ones, more flexibility in positioning and movement. Sounds like that's just going to be smoother. Always going to be good, right? There's enhancements for doorbells, chimes, intercom devices. For example, being able to play different chimes depending on which doorbell is pressed. So in our house, we technically have like 4 doorbells. I have one outside of my studio, so if someone's outside, they can actually like press the button. If I'm like in here recording or something, I can get an alert without having to get the audio tones going on. We have our front porch doorbell, we have our back deck doorbell, and we have our lower deck doorbell. We could have those set up with different chimes if they were all Matter enabled doorbells. So depending on which one was pressed, you would know without having to even see an alert, just based on the sound that it was making. There's also seasonal or contextual sounds. I'm very interested in that. And support for automations based on when a chime is playing. So if a chime is coming through a speaker, that is able to actually trigger an automation. So some cool things there. They also say there's updates to intercom device type. Updates to the intercom device type clarify requirements around signaling and add support for integrated chimes, helping ensure intercom devices behave consistently across ecosystems. So more improvements there. This is, again, just a very small update, but it's a welcomed one, a needed one. So I'm glad that this update is out. I don't know if we're going to get, 1.6 also this like springtime, or if this is it until the fall, is this tiny little one to hold us over. There's still things in Matter that I thought we would have seen by now that had been rumored or had been being worked on, like a lot of gardening sensors and things like that. I don't think ever fully materialized. And I thought they would be, making out here going into spring. Even though we know just because it was included in the spec doesn't mean products are immediately available. So maybe if we still make it out by the end of the year, next spring, we'll have some cool Matter gardening stuff. We'll see. Next piece of news. I saw this on the Aqara forums and I just thought it was such a cool idea. So this person was able to take an Aqara contact sensor, though technically it would work with basically any contact sensor that is out there, and they 3D printed an enclosure. It looks like a command hook that fits over top of the Aqara presence sensor, or the Aqara contact sensor. And they've used some magnets and some springs to create a smart hook. Yeah, so it's a little hook that goes on the wall. Say it's for towels, right? Put it up there with some command strips, and then when a towel is on there or something is on there, it pulls the hook down, and then when you take it off, the spring pushes the hook back up. And essentially, you've turned a contact sensor into a little sensor that's able to detect the weight of something, whether or not something is placed in a certain position. This is such a cool idea. Dylan Stock is the one who created this using the Aqara T1 door and window sensor. Just a really brilliant use case. Honestly, I found some cool stuff through, I guess it was on hackster.io, but I'll put the link in the show notes for all of you guys. You guys can look at it, maybe get the files if you're interested in trying this out yourself. But I think this was such a good idea. And I'm trying to think of different automations, like the one that they had that was like a throw out to suggest is like, hey, if your towel is not on the hook, then remind you to hang up your bath towel. But I could think of a lot of other use cases for something like this. And I think contact sensors get underutilized. I think there's some cool things we can do with them. I know this isn't particularly unique, but on the mailbox, it's still clutch. Like, I love being able to know when our mail is here when I'm down in the studio and not having to worry about the video doorbells or anything like that. If anybody tries this, let me know, because I'm very curious. If anyone's heard of the auto sprinkler, this is sweet. So it's OTO, and it's like this smart sprinkler. I've talked about it probably last year at this time. And essentially you connect your hose to it, put it into your yard, and it's able to create like a view of your yard in space. And it's able to pinpoint positions where the water needs to go to water your lawn. Can also do gardens, but it's really best for lawns. You can even add like lawn supplements should you choose to do so, but you don't need to do that. Now, the general idea of this is great, but say you've got children, you got toddlers, kids, they want to play outside with, a sprinkler or just the hose in general. You don't have to now unplug it and plug it into something else. You can use your auto. There's a new mode called auto play. You just toggle it on to autoplay mode from within the app, and it turns it into literally just a play sprinkler. Just shoots water around the yard for your kids to play in. There's no kind of rhyme or reason to it from what I can tell, but I think it's just a really good idea. This is brilliant to use something that people already have and to create something that's genuinely fun with it. This is a great use case for that product. Like, I have one of these. I love it, love it, love it for the lawn. And I have a toddler who loves to play outside in the sun. Their whole thing is like turning screen time into sun time. And that is an amazing idea. I really want to know, like, if Otto had added, Apple Home support to this, that would be great. And then I could literally just have a shortcut, right? That, hey, Apple Assistant, put the auto into play mode, and it would be able to do it. There's a perfect example of why something like this would be great to have inside of Matter or Apple Home. At a minimum, shortcuts would be fantastic for this, but I love it. I also got pitched this new app, which is for Apple TV users, and I also really like it. So I wanted to pass it on to all of you. So it's called, ITsyTV. It's your TV, maybe, is what they're going for. But essentially, they're claiming the missing Apple TV remote app. Fair. Apple's remote app is good, and I mainly like it because of how quick it is to access, right? Just from Control Center, pop down, tap into your Apple TV remote, you're there. But it's still not great. It's still kind of funky. I still have issues with it, and it's pretty minimal and basic. So this app kind of fills in those gaps. It's available for iPhone, iPad, and Mac, which is super cool. But they have a lot richer of an interface. So just like the Now Playing screen, like the Now Playing screen is going to show you like the artwork. I keep saying album artwork, but thumbnail artwork for whatever it is that you're watching, as well as like your back and forward controls, your play, pause, scrub bar, all of those things. But then you also get like an actual description of the episode and everything else that you're watching, which I find super helpful. Many times I pull it up, so I'm like, wait, what is this again? And then like, I don't want just the name. I want like that synopsis. So I think that's really helpful. They also have like this full grid mode for all of your apps. This is the clutch part about it. I mean, say you're on your Apple TV, you're in Hulu, and then a baseball game is starting, you want to jump over to MLB app, you'd have to typically go all the way back to your home screen, whether hitting the back button multiple times or holding the back button to go all the way to the home screen or into the TV app, then to MLB. But it usually is going to require multiple steps either way. The way that this app works is there's a full app launcher that you can go into with all of your apps. So you can just tap this and immediately launch into F1, into Disney, into Netflix, HBO, whatever it is that you have set up on your Apple TV, press these buttons and it's a shortcut directly into that app for you. It is so much quicker to do. I think it's beautiful. They're also building on all of Apple's like native stuff like Swift and Swift UI. I think this is fantastic. For $5 is all this thing cost. Buying it in a heartbeat. So check it out. I also like that it is on Apple, or not Apple TV, but on Mac, because a lot of times I'm watching Apple TV here in the studio. I'm working on my Mac and then I'm like, oh, I should pause my Apple TV because I'm about to start recording or something. Like say right now for the podcast, I'm going to record, say I had something playing on the Apple TV. I would have to find my Apple TV remote, pause it, and then continue. But if I use this app on here, the ItsyTV, I'd be able just to hit pause right from the menu bar, be good to go. Again, it is ItsyTV. link in the show notes. If you're curious about it, you want to try it out. If anyone does try it, let me know what you think. I'm curious. I want to hear everybody else's feedback as well. At CES, we saw a couple really cool things from IKEA. I mentioned them at the beginning of the episode too, as far as the thread issues that have been going on. But 2 of their new products are out. So we have their new donut light as well as their hanging pendant lights. Now, the hanging pendants are not my thing. It's kind of like a modern chandelier. There's going to be people who are going to love it. I am certain. But for me, the donut one is the one that is amazing. This is the one that is, I'd say, just a little larger than a foot, and it looks like a donut. It's a ring, but it is all glass with all these colors inside. You can control it with a remote control, or you can control it with Matter. Now, there was an original version of this, and they were selling out everywhere. I know many people who tried to get them and could not get their hands on the OG version. If I remember, the original one, because it wasn't a smart connected one, it just had preset colors, and you just went by your preset colors and you could just cycle between those, but it still looked really cool and it was really fun. And now the Matter enabled version is out there, which is wonderful. So if you live near an IKEA, you can go and try to pick these ones up. I think you can also order them from the IKEA website and get them shipped to you. I know IKEA is kind of weird with that sometimes, but yeah, if you have been like holding out for these, they are shipping. Go get them now before they start selling out. Price point too, I don't think was bad, like around $100 for a glass lamp and Matter and everything else. I'm excited. My worry is that there's going to be similar connection issues as with some of the other IKEA Matter over Thread things that we've seen recently. But in my home, they've all worked really well. So I'm willing to gamble on something like this. So it is out there if you want to try it. Hopefully it's going to be, reliable. And, speaking of things that are reliable, let's take a break for a second and thank our sponsor for the episode. It's Shopify. It is your reliable resource when you are trying to start or grow your business. If you're just starting out, it's perfect because you don't need to know anything other than what your business is trying to sell, whether it's a product or a service. Shopify will help you get set up with a website literally within an afternoon. Have a website up going without having to know how to code or do anything else. They handle all the things that you don't need to know how to do, like how to figure out the tax information and shipping information. It just puts it all together. You can save on shipping too, which is just another really nice benefit that I hear from people who actually implement Shopify on their stores. Aside from that, it grows with you. So if you're starting out, it's perfect because you can get going. But as you start to grow, you're starting to grow your store, more and more things you want to be able to do, and Shopify can do that and grow with you. So you can start to use all the AI features, help you write ad copy, remove backgrounds from photos, make everything pop, look great, get people to buy things. Fantastic. As you start going, start adding in different plugins to add cool new features. One of the biggest examples of a fantastic plugin for Shopify is for shipping protection. So I know a few different people who, running online stores, and they were one of their biggest problems was returns and people like buying things and then getting lost in the mail. USPS may not be as reliable as it used to be. And sometimes whether it's people trying to defraud them or saying they were stolen or all these types of things, now they added this simple little plugin that offers them insurance. So when you're picking up these products, these expensive products from the website, they're able to opt in to get their insurance on their shipping. And then when the product comes or doesn't come, whatever, they can worry about it with that company that's offering the shipping insurance and not the company that's selling the product. It alleviates one of their biggest headaches, and they actually even make some money on the kickbacks of being able to refer sales of the whole program. It's like a win-win for everybody involved. Win-win-win if you count the customer making sure that their packages are protected, so everybody wins. But that is just one plugin of the many, many that are out there for Shopify to enhance the experience for both you as well as the customers. And so you grow, you get to be a huge company. That's fantastic. Build an entire custom site on Shopify, whether you do yourself, shop it out, whatever, but you can make that perfect website all on the Shopify platform, and it makes it really easy to do. Customers are going to love it because it's a stable, reliable website that makes it easy to make their purchases. Once you add things to your cart, you can check out using Apple Pay, Google Pay, Shop Pay, which is super cool. It's like amazing how fast and reliable it happens. Like say I go and add things to my shopping cart and I hit my shopping cart button, immediately it's like it detects it. It's like me. So it's like, hey, Andrew, nice to see that you're back on a Shopify website. I went ahead and sent you a 2-factor authentication code to your phone. And because I'm using my Mac, my messages are showing up on my Mac. So I'm getting my 2-factor authentication code to my Mac. And then it's like, oh, hey, we got your code there in your messages. Let's autofill that for you right into the browser. And next thing I know, I've automatically entered 2-factor authentication, which has my shipping and payment information. I just need to hit checkout and I'm done. It is so fast. It's like magical how easy it is. There's a reason it's one of the internet's best converting checkouts out there. And then once the order is in, I can go ahead and track it over in the Shop app. I can track it in the Apple Wallet app, which is really cool to see. It's just a wonderful experience from top to bottom for both the retailers and the buyers. If you have not done so today, you gotta check it out. It's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/HomeKit. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. That's shopify.com/HomeKit. Okay, one more piece of news. This is kind of a big one for people who are in the home assistant space. If you are not in home assistant, I am sorry, but I still think this is worth talking about because there's a lot of great information in here. Now, one, we're also trying to expand a little bit, right? We're now Smart Home Insider, not HomeKit Insider. So I do think there's value here in taking a deeper dive at the latest release from Home Assistant. So this is their 2026.4 update, and it's a big one, at least in my opinion. So starting out, there's better support for IR devices, infrared devices. So it'll now support infrared proxies. There are a lot of devices out there that can do this. There are some in, Matter and Apple Home that we've seen, but these are going to basically be small little powered devices with IR transmitters that are able to send those infrared commands on behalf of Home Assistant. So anything you have in your home that is IR based, so TVs, fans, HVAC units, humidifiers, all that kind of stuff, you can now control via Home Assistant. Really, really cool. There's already one integration that's going live with like more native, not like fully native support, but more verbose support. So integration for LG TVs, and it actually creates a full media player entity for those controls within Home Assistant. So you get a lot more controls for LG-based TVs. Super cool. I love how not only are they adding IR support, but they're adding all these actual integrations on more personal per device basis versus more broad. Doing this through some of the other ones, it can get kind of clumsy, but it's still possible. I think Akara has them, SwitchBot has them, a few of them out there have them, and you do have to look up your devices, figure out how to actually get those controls into there, and I'm really curious at how well it does work for Home Assistant on that setup process. Next is a big one that I would love to see more coming to Apple Home, which is cross-domain triggers and conditions. So these are kind of like when and if, then do. So in Apple Home, your basic automations, right? Your basic triggers are like, when this happens, do this. And it could be when this is detected, do this, but whatever. So this is when whatever condition happens, and if this happens, then do this. So there's a bunch of different examples of this that you could find. So when motion is detected outside and I'm not home, turn the outdoor light on and maybe also the sprinkler system. You could do something like that already in Apple Home, right? Because we do have support for location. So if nobody's home, run this automation, that is possible. But there's more kind of cool things you can do, like when projector screen is opened and the shades are open, set them to 90% closed, for example, because then if they were already closed before, you wouldn't want them to open back up 10%. You want them to stay closed. So if they were already open, we're going to go ahead and lower them so they're mostly closed. But if they were closed, we're not going to do anything. That's another random example. But there's a ton of these kind of conditional automation statements. You can do things like this in Apple Home, but you're going to have to use third-party apps, and it's going to get a little complicated in doing that, or running them through like Shortcuts app, which again can get complicated. So if they kind of nail the experience on this, I think this could be huge. They threw a bunch of different other ones in there for ones you can do this. So trigger when they, like a garage door gate opens, and then check if they're currently open or closed before doing something. That's another big one, because if you want to like open a door and then turn the lights off, you should check if those lights are on or off first. I do create this exact automation for our master bathroom. I have it set so like when motion is detected, or when the light switch is thrown, it's like the little hue relay switch. I check if like the smart bulbs are on, and if they are on, I turn them off. And if they are off, I turn them on. So it kind of creates like that toggle effect, but just through code and logic. There's more examples of these, but I do like those cross-domain triggers. That's very nice to have. There's also just lots of new triggers that Home Assistant is adding. There's a bunch of good ideas here. Humidifier triggers. So if a target is above or below a certain threshold, moisture now has triggers and conditions for when moisture is detected or cleared, and when moisture values change or when they cross a certain threshold. Also very valuable. And temperature now has conditions to check if a temperature value is above or below a certain threshold. So more useful ones there. There's a new Matter lock manager. Handy, right? You can set PIN codes and users for Matter-enabled locks from Home Assistant directly. And there's a bunch of new integrations they were announcing. The ones that I was particularly excited about, there's terminal support, like the TRMNL smart displays. These actually bring those displays into Home Assistant. So I can see like the battery status on my terminal display and get an alert, like if they're low, and all sorts of things like that. So that's cool. There's also Casper Glow support. This is crazy. Does anyone remember the Casper Glow lights? I assume they are still for sale. Like, I have not checked. Let's do this together, because I am curious before we talk about them. But I think these are smart. Okay, they are still going, as they should be. They're not cheap. They are $116, okay, for one of these things. And you can get a 2-pack of them. What's the price? $224, a little bit of a savings. I bought these. I 100% bought these myself. And we have 2 of them, one on each side of our bed in our bedroom. So if I remember like all the cool like automations and routines, but basically it is a lamp. It's shaped like a little soft cylinder, I guess you would say, but rounded on the top and the bottom. But it's this little cylinder, slightly about maybe 3-4 inches in diameter, and probably about 6 to 8 inches or so in height. What you do is it's a light. It's a soft, glowing light, warm light, perfect for bedrooms. But you can take it and you can press the button on the top to wake it up or turn it off. I believe you turn it over and it'll turn into it'll turn it all the way on. You can also twist it to the right or to the left to adjust the brightness on it. So just turn it a little bit to the right to turn it on, and turn it to the left to turn it down. And again, if I remember all the specs correctly here from this, you could create a little like a lantern mode if you were walking to the bathroom. So you could pick it up and I think you could jiggle it, just like shake it a little bit, and it would turn on a tiny little glow at the bottom of the light as like a little lantern that you could carry with you to like go to the bathroom and come back without having to turn on all the lights in your house, which does bring up the fact that it is wireless. It is a rechargeable light. So it doesn't just have to sit, static on your bedside. It is meant to be picked up and moved with you. So you can pick it up, fully move it with you, take it around your house, all of those things. But these came out, I swear, 10 years ago, maybe at least, like something like that. Like these are not new by any means. So to see random Home Assistant support for these show up, I'm like geeking out about, because I love these things and I've never really hear anybody talk about them, especially anymore, because they're just such a not new device by any means. So that's cool. They're now baked into Home Assistant. And there's new smart things integrations. Like Smart Things has been there, so it's not like a new integration, but it just a lot of improvements to Smart Things integration, like robot vacuums gain support for fan speed control, select entities for driving mode, and cleaning type water spray and sound mode options. sound detection switch with sensitivity control, full dust bag sensor, HEPA filter reset button, and time entity for do not disturb schedules, all these types of things. So there's a whole lot more to the SmartThings implementation within Home Assistant. It's going to be great for people who are using both of these ecosystems. So it is quite a bit coming to Home Assistant in this update. Check it out. Let me know. I know there's a lot of you out there using Home Assistant, and something I've been playing around with a lot more as of late. I want to round out this episode with two different experiences. One, sharing a little bit more about the work in my son's bedroom, making into a smart bedroom, which will be a full video that I'll have up on the actual YouTube channel, and then a hands-on with a new device that is launching. So first up, Harrison's bedroom. This has been a project that has been going on for quite some time, like literally well more than a year. And it just keeps kind of like growing and growing and growing, which is how the whole thing started in the first place. Because if anyone remembers when I first started talking about it, it was just the bed. It was like, hey, our kid needs a big boy bed. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, if you just want your basic 4-poster bed or platform bed, like I can knock that out in an afternoon. That's great. But then it became like, oh, well, if we're building it, if it's custom, we could do this. And like, why don't we add like, you know, the supports along the top, and then we can like make it into a fort. And then like, we should add like a little like shelf, like on the top of it. So like into his headboard, so that he has like a spot to put like his chocolate milk or charge things and all those. And then we're like, oh, let's add some hidden storage. And it became a lot larger of a project than it was originally supposed to do. And then that ballooned into a full-on smart room with shades and lighting and integrated lighting and all these other types of things that have been going on. It's been going. Now, one of the things I think I talked about on the show, but I wanted to expand on a little bit more since then, is his projector. I think I talked about this with Dan maybe on the show, or if it was just Dan and I talking afterward, but Dan Turk. And I'd been using a projector that I had for a while. But it was like a smart projector, had some sort of Android or Google. I assume it's like Android TV, not Google TV, which is a different platform now, but it is fully up to date. But I would say it's like 5 years old, maybe at the most. And it is just a mess. Like, it's not a cheap projector. Like, this thing was well over $1,000 for sure. Laser projector, expensive big projector. We just didn't use it for anything, and he wanted to watch, you know, Bluey or something. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and watch this. We can watch it in your room. I feel like a projector is gonna be better for your eyes versus a TV. It's gonna not be as bright, and you know, keeps you out of our hair a little bit, because you can go entertain yourself in your room. You can play with your toys that you keep in your room while also be able to watch your shows. And, you know, he's not out in the living room or in my studio or anything like that watching things. So, especially during the wintertime. So we put that projector in there, and I've had it. Nothing ever launches. Like, literally, the Disney app never seems to work properly. So like, I wanted to do this whole thing where I had like the projector and then a projector screen, and then trying to tie some automations to that. And I couldn't do it. So now I've been on the lookout for a new projector to replace that with. And based on Dan's recommendation of XJimmy, that might likely be what I'm going to try out. I also really like these Samsung Freestyle projectors, which is what we have in our room. Faith and I use that in our room. That's our TV, and it works phenomenally. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more research, see if there's any like Matter integrations with either of these at this point. Likely not would be my guess, but I'm going to play around with those more. So definitely need a projector upgrade before I can finish this whole video thing, because the one we have now is just not working. It's also very large. Like, literally, it's like over a foot long, I feel like, and it's like tall, and it's a big boy. So like, he doesn't need anything that big in his room. We're doing this up. Let's make it do it right, and put something in there that's a little more streamlined, sleek, works better. So that's one upgrade that definitely needs to happen. I'm also definitely putting an Apple TV in there. I'm just done with the Android interface. So no matter what I end up with, I want a smaller projector as well as connecting it directly to an Apple TV. I was trying to be lazy because I don't want to buy a new Apple TV when you know, a new Apple TV is on the horizon. So I have not done it. But I think at least temporarily, maybe even just for this video and setup stuff, I'm going to have to put an Apple TV in there from somewhere, steal it from one of the other rooms in the house. So we have a proper television in there to run this whole thing off of. I then I did order the projector screen to pull down, and I've been so busy lately. My brain is not thinking as it should. And I was like, okay, measuring his bed. It's a twin bed. My posts are like 40 on the interior, like 44 on the 44 and a quarter or something on the exterior. So I'm just trying to like do my math as far as like what I need size wise on a projector screen, because I need it to be at least, slightly larger than 40 inches, because I want to put contact sensors on there so that when you pull the projector screen down, it's going to go ahead and connect a contact sensor, and that'll trigger an automation to do things. And that is, very key. I just can't have it floating in the middle. On top of that, based on what I have of the projectors now, the distance from the back of the wall or the headboard to where I want to kind of hang the screen, it's projecting too wide. So if the screen was too narrow, it's going to overshine the screen and it's not going to look as good. So I needed to find these things. So I just needed it to be like 40 inches. And so like I found one. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. It's a 40-inch screen, and there's overhang of about an inch on the bottom on each side. So this should be perfect. I'm guessing the full width is going to be somewhere around 42, which is enough to get the contact sensors and make my life happy. And unfortunately, because of my lack of brain power as of late, I failed to remember that screen sizes are measured on the diagonal, which is like such a rookie move. Like, come on, Andrew. Like, I tell people that all the time when they're like measure. I laugh at those memes of someone who buys a television. This isn't a 40-inch TV. This is clearly a 34. No, I know these things so much, and just all the numbers going through my head. So I ordered the wrong screen size. So I had to return it and buy the correct one and get it all set up. But we are getting closer there. I'm so excited. I did reinstall a new light strip behind his dresser, so that is looking good. We're using the IKEA button as his kind of automation control for his good morning and good night scenes, which has been working swimmingly as of late. So lots of really great things, and I'm super excited to share more of this. I'm probably going to do 2 videos, I think is kind of where I'm landing. One, how I created just the bed, and then maybe I created a smart room for my toddler and make that a second video. So that's likely how it's going to shake out for anyone who's still interested in this saga, but we're getting closer. Last piece for this episode, let's take a look at a new product from Scosche. So this is the Found It Charge, which is a locator with charger. Now, let me translate that for you. It's a car charger with Find My AirTag-like technology built in. Before we even talk about the hardware and the specs, I find the naming interesting, right? Why is it the locator with charger? Why is it not first and foremost a charger with tracking capabilities, with locating capabilities? And I don't know. I'm wondering if it has something to do with like just Apple Find My policies or something like that is causing that name to be what it is. But that's pure speculation on my part. So the device itself, it's really that simple. So I'm holding it up if you're watching the video version of the podcast, but it is a little car charger, right? That goes in like the cigarette lighter port on there. Nothing crazy. It is not overly large by any means. It's just all black. The actual top of it is like a matte black, and then outside facing where the 2 USB ports are, it's glossy. Now, port wise, 1 USB-C, 1 USB-A. Scosche, stop it. Stop it right now by putting USB-A on devices. Just don't do it. Like, I know that people still have USB-A devices, but there's very little need for them. Like, and especially on something like this, many cars already have USB ports on there. If you're going to put a USB-A, you have to launch a version with just USB-C, because then people who have just USB-C get really annoyed at the launching of a new product that does not do what they need. I need more than 1 USB-C port in my car. Having a USB-A on this is really, really annoying, especially on a product that is like, oh, we're new and we're unique by putting Apple Find My tech into something like this, and then you just handicap it with a legacy USB-A port. What are people plugging into their cars, right? You're going to have maybe dash cams. Guess what? Most of them usually come with their own power supply. A lot of them plug into the OBC 2 port down like below you're in the wheel well. Not going to need this. What else are you plugging in? It's like dash cameras, GPS systems. Like most of those are going to have a USB-C version. If not, they're going to have a port on there that you're going to connect to something with USB-C. I promise you, there is just so little need for something like this to have USB-A on it. Stop it. My second problem with this is the speeds. Again, I'm looking at this as like a charger first because I think that should be the primary use case of this, because if it does not function as a charger, I'm not putting it in my car, right? It's supposed to be putting this tracking technology into something that you're already using. So you're already using a charger. You already need a charger. So it's like, cool, you have your charger. Let's put the Find My tech into it. And I think 12 South is a great example of this because 12 South came out with their plug bug with Find My, and it is a charger with Find My. It's not a tracker with also the abilities of a 120 watt or 140 watt USB-C charger. No, it is a charger first with Find My. So the fact that the output on this, let me make sure I'm having these right, 20 watts from the USB-C and 12 watts from the USB-A. 32 watt output total. Not enough. I mean, right now in our cars, we do have Qi 2.2 chargers that are going to be 25 watts. You're going to need at least 30 watts via one USB-C port to actually fast charge your phone. And I'm a very big supporter of fast charging in the car. Some people say like, oh, what do you need fast charging in the car for? Maybe I'm unique. Maybe I'm a special little snowflake and I'm just going to be unnecessarily difficult, but I feel like my use case exists. I live close enough where most of the time that we need to run out in the car, it's going to be a fairly short ride. Like if I'm going to the grocery store, if I'm going out, kids to school or to family's house, anything like that, it's at most like 15 minutes in the car, right? Anything else gets a little bit further, but for like my regular activities, coffee, dinner, all that stuff, it's usually gonna be a 15, 20-minute ride in the car tops. And sometimes it can be less than that. Family's house is 7 minutes away. So guess what? I'm in the car for typically shorter periods of time. If I have a slow charger, what's even the point? What's even the point of charging slowly in the car? Like I can put it on the charger, but it's not going to do anything by the time I get to my destination because it's charging at like 7.5, maybe 15 watts. And it's even harder to do in the car because you have to deal with heat. So like a lot of the car chargers that are out there will have to add active cooling if you actually want to maintain those speeds, which is what we see for many Qi 2.2 chargers that are out there. And Scosche, I believe, has or at least showed off a Qi 2.2 charger at CES that does the full 25 watts. So if they're having, a charger again that is using like latest specs here, Qi 2.2, 25 watts, why are you coming out with a power adapter that's only 20? It's not fast enough. I want a device like this. I want this exact thing with 2 USB-C ports and faster output. It needs to be like 45, right? Give me 15 from one and 30 from the other to necessitate the fast charging of Qi 2.2 while still giving me at least, 10 or so watts out of the other one, 15 watts out of the other one for a secondary device. I think that would be absolutely appropriate. I could see 65 also common in some of these chargers. So 32 watts, not enough between these two ports. So that's such the bummer part. Now, flipping these on the head, this device is brilliant. This device is absolutely a fantastic idea, 100%. I know many people who put AirTags in their cars. It's an easy way to track their vehicles, right? Whether it is trying to find out where you parked, right? Apple Maps does it. They put a little pin on there, but you can also still have benefit from having something like this. Like if I'm driving the car or Faith and I are in the car and we are connected to her CarPlay and I'm the one who has, we have this, say we have this in the car and it's shared between the two of us. Now both of us know where our car has been parked. So I can still find my way back to it as well and she can. You can also, of course, if it was to be stolen, in worst case scenario, you're able to have kind of an idea of where it may be. As long as somebody with an Apple or Android device or somewhere within its proximity, it's going to ping that location and get it back to you. So if you're especially in some place like a city, I also said especially a lot this episode. I apologize for that. But if you are in a well-lived area, there's a lot of people around you, there's a very high chance someone with an iPhone, an iPad, and an Android device are going to walk near the car, be able to get that location and send it back to you, where you can turn over the proper authorities, because you definitely should not try to track down your own stolen devices using Find My. So the idea for this, I think, is very, very smart. And I love baking Find My into things that you don't typically see it. So the 12 South plug bug with Find My, wonderful, amazing. I love it. We've seen bikes with it built in. Great. I love it. We've seen third-party headphones like Belkin has done those. Also great. Apple does it on AirTags or AirPods, and it's great to see it on third-party headphones too. There's been a lot of really cool, unique devices that have started to add Find My. Wallets are a big one. But this is a very unique one that I like. The water bottle I thought was really cool. This is smart. I also like what they did with battery. So they're actually using a rechargeable battery on the inside of here. So you have this plugged into your car, automatically recharging that internal battery, just constantly charging that thing up. So it's always ready to go. So your car turns off, this gets unplugged, whatever, 3-month charge still in here. So a couple cool things about that. One, car's off, this isn't getting power, still trackable, everything's fine. And then you turn your car back on again, you're still good to go. But two, you can also take this with you. So you go somewhere, you take this out, pull it out, throw it into a bag, whatever, and now you have a tracker in that bag. You don't have to leaving it behind, anything like that. So it becomes like a portable little AirTag that you're going to keep recharging your car all the time. And then whenever you need it, toss it in. I mean, when we travel somewhere, I need to remember to charge my wallet. So it's always good to go. I can still charge when I'm there, but I prefer to charge before I leave. So this kind of just takes care of that and just turns into this little, it's still a quite small AirTag, tracking type device that you can throw into your bag. I love that. It also works with both platforms. So this is not just Apple Find My. It also works with the Android Find Hub. I think that's the new name, because it was Google Find My Devices, but now it is the Android Find Hub. So it works with both of those. Anything that launches now should work with both platforms. It should easily just be out of the box work with Android, iPhone without having that be a big thing. So really, really smart. I love the idea of this. I think it is fantastic. I would just love to see call it a pro version with 2 USB-C and higher watt outputs. I think they did an amazing job here. Otherwise, at least on the concept of it. And you guys know I get into the weeds a little bit on some things. The battery stuff I find really curious, because when 12 South launched the plug bug, they actually had to use a coin cell battery. And I immediately said, why is this not recharging? Why is there not a lithium ion battery inside? Every time you plug it into the wall, it's charging that coin cell or the lithium ion battery, and you're always good to go, because then you would never have to replace the battery on your plug bug. It would literally last forever. As long as you're plugged into the wall, you're going to have a new charge on it. And from my understanding, talking to people, internally, there was some weird things going on with Apple's power requirements, and they weren't able to do it with a rechargeable battery. And now here we are a few years later, and Scosche is doing the same thing in a tiny little form factor for your car. Maybe things changed. Maybe Apple's stuff has changed. They've updated the MFI program to make something like this possible. Maybe we'll see an updated version of the plug bug with a rechargeable battery inside. And if that would be the case, I would be all over that thing. I would highly recommend it to everybody I know. So let me know what you guys think. I'll put a link to this guy down below in the show notes if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about it. I apologize that we're not consistent perfectly with the episode duration, keeping things 45 to an hour. So we're close to that. We're close to it. But a few good episodes coming up. Daniel Mineta talking smart things. We've got Albin talking Thread, joining the Thread group, all that kind of stuff. Another surprise guest and kind of a brand new product launching into the Apple home space, and more that we're working on. If you guys want to, suggest anyone to be on the podcast, please let me know. You guys can reach out to me in a number of different ways, like email at andrew@appleinsider.com. You can also throw up suggestions or contact stuff on the YouTube version of the video over at youtube.com/HomeKitInsider. Find me on all of the social networks, Twitter, Threads, all that kind of stuff. If you guys would be so kind, please, please, please leave the podcast a 5, 10, 100-star rating on your podcast player of choice. I did get a great amount of feedback from many of you guys. It was very split on whether you guys wanted chapters or the artwork, or chapters or video in the podcast app. So right now, I think we're going to try to be a part of like the early program with our publishing system like Transistor to test it out and do video and see what the response is, to see if it's good or bad. If you guys hate the video version and syncing them all inside of the podcast app, you can always use a different podcast player until chapter artwork is supported again. But I don't even know when this is going to be, when we're going to be enrolling this and testing it out. So bear with us and send me feedback, because I'd love to hear from all of you. Otherwise, thank you greatly for everybody listening, and I will see you all in next week's episode.